This is Dan, House of Broken Dobbs Things, and we are currently in the shop taking a look at the eBay Unicorn, and we're going to start getting these holes ready to be tapped and go with the insert that I need. Just to refresh, these holes around the periphery, there should be a threaded piece in there to allow it to go through the backside. In this case, I'm just going to use a 10 by 32 grub screw, and it's going to go through the backside. It threads through, and on the backside of this there is a pin that drops in the hole, and we are going to get that set where from this side the holes are very, very small. We're going to go ahead and punch those out. We're going to use a number 20 drill. Yeah, 21 is the correct size. We're using number 20. This is on the advice of a friend of mine who says, well, if it's going to be like that, you're going to be doing 36 holes. You may want to lighten that up because you'll still make your thread, and at the same time you'll have much less of a chance to break anything. So we're going to try that, and we're going to try to get set up to do power tapping on this. So we'll be breaking out. I'm going to try to get the Versa tapper built into here. We'll show you that here in a little bit. But just a quick one on this one. I'm going to bring it down just so you can see how I'm set up here. I've got this set up on a rotary table, and the rotary table on this one happens to have a setup for gear cutting, so I'm going to use that to help me index it, because I could freewheel and just go ahead and free cut this one, but 36, any error that I make, which I'm likely to do, is going to get compounded. So if I use this, at least I'm going to make the same amount of error, and we'll go from there. So to get started, this is 1 3/4" on the internal diameter. I'm using a really small chuck that came with this indexing table, rotary indexing table, and we're going to use that. So I've got it tightened out, backed out into the actual material. I started out to try to build a arbor for it, and the more I looked at it, I'm like, I don't need to do that. So this is, I believe it's a tool steel, and we're going to set that up. So for my initial setup to get the table X and Y, I've got the table locked now, but I'm using this spring-loaded tap, which has a 60-degree face on it, to help me make sure that I was lined up, and it looks to be pretty good. So again, if I'm off, I'm going to be off the same amount every one. So I'm going to rotate this. This is a 90-to-1 gear ratio on this table. I've got it set on the 20, and then I've got it set up for 2.5 rounds with the fingers on it, the clock hands, if you will, and we'll go get started from there. But I was just getting this dialed in. I wanted to share that with you so you'd see how I'd set it up. Again, this is not the exact part. I didn't center in on the center of this bore. I went ahead and centered in on the pre-existing ring because that's what's there, and they do look pretty well uniform. So I'm going to start with that. I'm going to go with it. So okay, just taking a quick one here and measuring the dimension, 0.727. I'm going to transfer that up because I'm making contact there, and I'm going to set my stop. Right about there. I'm going to lock that in position, so as I drill through, I shouldn't have the ability to really go crazy further than I want. Okay, just a quick step, quick moment of, oh my gosh, here we go, and turn it down kind of slow. Really nice to have a good sharp drill bit. Okay, we're through. Okay, now from here I've already got the indexer set, so I'm going to go ahead and pull the pin, and I'm going to go 1, 1, 22.5. Alright, I've got it set up, locked on these fingers, and then I'm going to advance. I'm sorry I don't have the camera turned for you to view, but I think you've seen this dozens if not hundreds of times on YouTube, but just get the idea how I'm doing it. Now, moment of truth is, how will that drill bit hit? It hit nice and true, so I feel pretty good about that. I'm mostly letting the weight of the quill do this. I'm in no hurry and absolutely no rush. Alright, I'm going to adjust that just a little bit. Alright. I know safety Nazis are going to get me. Okay, I've already advanced the fingers, so I'm going to take it 1, 2, Okay, we're going to continue on. I'll bring you back. I'm putting no pressure at all on this. Basically just following my hand along with it because this bit's doing such a nice job. It is nice to have a really good bit. This one was eBay. Some of you have heard me talk about a seller that was a screw shop at one point. Sellers is Calcon 210. I'm not affiliated in any way, but two brothers, their dad got them in the business and they were both there for half a century or more. They accumulated a mountain of this kind of stuff, so I like to try to shout them out occasionally. They've always been super to me. In this case, I asked Vic, the older brother, and said, you know, I'd like to have a set of bits that were, you know, I could set aside with the taps and just go ahead and have those ready to go. I see them online and they're very, very expensive. I says, you know, I'd really like to have that. And next thing you know, here they came. Set up for every size I could imagine. 1, 2, like I said earlier, if I'm making a mistake, I'm making the same one over and over again. So when I go to tap this, they'll be on the same, but I'm really not doing much of anything. The quill on this Rockwell mill is actually really nice. You can adjust the tension on it, and it's butter smooth. So you just kind of let it feed its way down. I could turn it up faster drilling speed, but since I'm filming this and I'm in no hurry, and I figure that maybe Murphy would stay away from my shop tonight if I did it slow and very, very carefully. 1, 2.5. Okay, so we just keep clicking away here, and we'll let you watch, and then we'll bring you back when I get closer. Getting closer to the halfway point. Okay, just so you know what I'm doing on this side, I've got this set up, I'm on 20, and I've got the hands basically set on a 180 from each other. But from right here, I'm going to advance 2 times from this spot, and then 1/2, and I'm going to stop right down here. So you've all seen it before. 1, 2, and lock it in. Now the reason I'm doing that on this is I'm going to make the same mistake. I'm going to blow it all the same way. So that's what I'm doing. Yep. It's a lot of wash, rinse, repeat. Again, I'm not doing much over here. I am in no hurry to break a drill bit or do any such thing. So I'm letting this go nice and slow. Nobody's getting hurt. Maybe. It won't be for lack of trying. I gotta thank Vic. That is a really sharp bit. Nice. I think it just goes to show that the stuff you buy at Walmart, or not Walmart, but Lowe's or Home Depot or other places, there is another level, and I've never owned it. 1, 2, and to pay less for the best stuff out there, well, that really makes me happy. Now, this stuff is, a lot of it, what he sells on eBay, is new old stock. I mean, it may have been sitting in a oil package since the 1960s, but it's fantastic. This is all, pretty much every bit of it's USA made, or you say NATO allies. I've got bits from Sweden, and they are phenomenal too, so it's like, wow. I've spent a lot on drill bits that were absolute garbage. And then I actually found this couple of brothers, and I bought something from them, and they combined shipping for me, which is always a plus, and we just kind of hit it off. They're from Illinois, where I'm from. They're on the opposite end of the state, but still. And they've been selling off the stuff for several years, and if you happen to need anything like that, I would give them a look. I'm not endorsing. Well, I am endorsing, but I'm just doing it as a customer, not as anything that's associated with them. I'm in no way related to them in any way, but I bring them up quite a few times because this is an example of wow, this is good stuff. I believe this particular bit probably cost me about 50 cents. And we are north of 20, coming up 20 some holes now. It shows no signs of giving up. No wobble like a lot of the parts from the Chinese embassy. You know who I mean. Come out of the package already bent and broken, or not broken, but bent and nearly useless. Okay, we're getting near the end here, so if I'm going to have a flaming screw up here, it's going to be right about now. You gotta laugh, Cam. I know you're out there. Why is he using an Allen wrench? Because I'm a mechanic. We always use the next thing we can grab. Appropriate or not appropriate. I figured you'd appreciate that. Alright. Again, if we're going to screw up, it's going to be in the next couple of seconds. We've had a very, very good time. With a VFD, this little Rockwell mill is very, very good mannered. Is it flawless? No. Did I pick it up for a ridiculous amount that I won't disclose? Oh yeah. I have done very little to it. One of the only things that was wrong with it when I received it, other than being in a Michigan mud hole where I picked it up, was the fact that it had a lot of backlash in it. Oh my gosh, I really got a problem. No, it really wasn't a problem. It was there's an X and a Y feed nut, and there's 4 bolts that were holding it down. All 4 of those bolts were loose, so it was just shifting back and forth. There was my backlash. Once I fix that, not much at all. I mean, of course it has some, but negligible. So dodged a bullet there. Nothing wrong with the motor, nothing wrong with the table really, other than just wear. And so it was a really good one. Is it big? No. Big enough? Usually. There's been a couple of things I can't get on it, but there we go. Alright, last one. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we made it, and it even lined up on the right number. So that's great. I'm very happy. So I'll get this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to chamfer these, and then I'll get set up for tapping. I'll bring you back. And sorry for the extra noise. Getting kind of chilly here. I had the shop warmed up today, but it specifically is getting a little chilly now, so it's getting to my feet. So I'm going to go ahead and set up a countersink on this one. This one happens to be at 82 degrees. I'm just going to touch the top. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. If it's wrong, somebody tell me. Okay, and I'm further going to just come down and just touch these again. There we go. Just like that. Just to break that edge. Go a little quicker than the drilling. And just breaking the edge. Alright, I'll finish up with these and I'll bring you back. Okay, we've all done with the countersink. I think next time I will go ahead and set the depth stop to get more uniform. I was going freehand, and a little bit too much variability for me. So we'll go from there. I'm going to go ahead and get the VersaTapper set up, and we'll see what happens. Okay, everybody, we are not just tapping, we are VersaTapping. Watch the air blast here. Sorry about that. Same as we were doing before. Okay, now it's got a clutching mechanism inside. It's going to go in and tap, force it in, and it's going to kind of bobble and wobble a little bit. That's okay, it's following the hole. And at the same time, whenever I get ready to back it out, all I got to do is push up on the handle and it will automatically reverse. Okay, I'm varying the pressure on its torque, going very easy. This is very much like Lance and Patrick were doing on the Active Atom channel. And I'm getting the threads in this one. I will go back around and chase them manually when I'm doing the insert, but you see how nicely that's backing the tap right back out? That's me. It wasn't it. It was me. Okay? And this is a through hole. Alright, so there's nothing on the back side. The chips can escape, but I'm actually using a spiral tap as well. Yeah, it feels good. The more I'm using it, the freer it's getting, because it's been sitting on the shelf for a very long time. Yeah. You'll see a little movement. This chuck setup I've got on this rotor table, this is not top of the line. So you'll see a little something there. I don't think it's going to affect this much. Okay, you see a little jump when it gets out? Okay. Apologize for the blast of air, but kind of necessary. And over here, you can't see it, but I'll bring you up for just a second. There's a reaction arm. In this case, it's just a 3/8 extension on there, but it needs a reaction element. There is an arm that fits. It's just a little short for my mill, but I went ahead and let you guys see what's going on down there. Let me back that out just a smidge. There you go. I think it gives you a good shot. Okay, advancing. Alright, next one. And again, with the ability to kind of vary the torque on this one, I hope I don't break any taps tonight. This is my favorite. Oop, you see it start to lift? It was bottoming out against the chuck. That was my bad. I got too greedy. It's not going to change anything. Okay. That was my fault. Again, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen in the next couple of minutes. Okay. A little vise is just not top shelf. Okay. Just using straight cutting oil. Okay, I'm not going to get greedy. So again, you'll see the shaft bounce a little bit. When I go up, that's the length of this changing. The internal gearing is changing it, going to a reverse. And that's the reason it needs a reaction arm. There's a planetary gear set in there. I'm going to bring the picture up just a little bit so you can actually see that part of the operation. There. Get out of there. Alright. It's wanting to be. It's wanting to be that way. If you're following along, yeah, this would take a long time by hand. With this tapping head on here, I got really pretty good control. It seems like it's binding up. I can change things up and get it out of there. Alright, sorry about that. I bumped the camera. I want you to watch as I go into this next one. And watch the length of the shaft. As I tap in. Alright, I'm getting ready to reverse it. See that reverse where it jumped? As soon as it pulls, it engages it to go in the opposite direction. Okay. It's got a little bit of wobble in it, but we've got a good pilot hole, so it's going to do its thing. Okay. And yes, Cam, this is off of eBay. I know you're jealous down in Australia, but here we go. I'm taking it easy. This could be a lot faster. I want to show you that again. As you didn't see it. All right, now here it goes. See the length? It ain't much, but it's enough. and it just reverses the tap and backs it right on out. Very much like the tapping machine you saw on the Active Atom channel for Lance and Patrick. Okay. And advancing, I think the using the rotary table has its own issues, but I think it's helped me out a lot tonight. Like I said earlier, if I make a mistake, I'm making them all the same. Okay. Another burst of air coming. Advance the dividing head. I want to show everybody what my oil is. This is a butt bucket for cigarettes. But if you look inside of it, it is a perfect for a little oil can, a little spillless oil can. So, just thought you'd get a kick out of that. Sorry if I blow up your headphones with that air, but that's one thing. I watch quite a few YouTube creators, and one of them I like to watch out of Perth is Bruce Witham. I think everybody's familiar with Bruce, especially anybody's ever been to the Bash, which I've never. But one thing he impressed on me is all the tapping and inserts and all the other things is to keep that tap clean before you progress. So apologize for the air blast, but it does seem to make a difference. We are still using the same original tap. We've broken none. We broke no drill bits. So knock on wood, we may be finishing up here in a little while. The tap size I'm using, if I didn't mention it before, is a 10 by 32. One of my favorites. It's not a 1/4 inch, so, but it's a nice size, enough holding power, but not large. So I like using them. And in this case, it just happened to fit the profile that I needed to make this work. Bump the camera. Hi, thanks everybody for watching this with me. I reshooting this end segment here. Went well. I got it all threaded together. The camera battery died at the tail end, as it always does. And by and large, everything lined up. The threads were good, and very pleased with it. I may go back and go ahead with a 10 by 32 socket head screw and see how that lines up. If it does, I may actually take them a bit longer and go ahead and run them in until they're flush on the bottom side of the bolt head, and then in turn go to the back side and actually surface grind that off so it's perfectly flush when they're all the way in. That'll make it a lot easier to keep track of. So if they're screwed in all the way, the pin should pass by and not index on that point. And if you back it out, the pin will start to index, and you can kind of fudge with it to get it where you want. What I learned from the exercise, the VersaTapper, I wanted to cover it just a little bit more. That's a Supreme VersaTapper from the Supreme Tool Company, and later I believe they were acquired by Rigid. No, not the Rigid who Home Depot owns now, but it may still be. But back when Rigid made really excellent tools. It uses a insert collet, specifically like your small size collets. It's for holding the tap. And the mechanism inside, like I said, it has to have a reaction member, so you have the bar. I basically just hand did it while I was doing that with a 3/8 extension. Worked great. It's hard to describe the feeling of it, but I felt like I had really good control the entire time. You can kind of slip it, or you can kind of force it on through, and backing it out, it worked great. I had the mill turning very slow, obviously trying not to blow anything apart. As I stated before, no broken drill bits, no broken taps. Everything lines up very well. You saw my adventure with the chuck. I was going from the inside, and that chuck just couldn't make a good bite. Specifically, I couldn't find the reversing jaws for it. I would have went from the outside and grabbed it that way, but it didn't work out in the time I was trying to get this done. For those of you that are YouTube creators, you know what it's like to pick your shots on the time that you have available. Sorry for the little bit long video, but I think this one was pretty interesting, and I wanted to cover the fact that I do actually use these tools that I show you. This is an interesting one that I really enjoyed doing, and I think it's going to work out pretty well. You saw a couple of spots in there I poke fun at myself. That's kind of just how I overcome and I learn. I make small mistakes. The setup using the screws or the existing holes with the tap guide worked pretty good. You saw a little bit of an indentation change there where it kind of skipped over. I didn't line that up with the drill bit later, and it seems to work just fine. The other thing, it was the lifting. The jaws on the chuck couldn't hold it in position well enough. If I were to do it over again, I would go ahead and cut a washer and a small bolt, and probably go ahead, and the Morse Taper 2 adapter that's in there, I probably would try to go ahead and sink a hole with threads in it, but it's going to be hardened, but maybe just surface hardened, so if I get through it, it might be okay. So, according to that, I'd like to thank you all, the new subscribers. The channel doubled, as I mentioned in the previous video. That's fantastic. Thank you, Randy, Richard, and Cam, and Cam at Battler, and Pierre. Pierre always watches, and he always comments. He's always a super nice guy. But I want to close this one out, and thank you for watching, and I appreciate your time, and I try to be respectful of it, but I think we're going to put this one as done. We're going to finish a little bit of stuff on it, but we'll get it in the indexer, and we'll give you a quick shot of that during another video. Thanks. Everybody have a great night.